Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, this is Alex. This is the Ramble. That's what it says right there on the screen with New York City under us. And we're here until midnight from said same city. Ladies and gentlemen, well, you can see it written on the screen. That's Debbie Durst. How are you, Debbie?
I'm doing swell, Alex. How are you this morning?
I'm getting along, getting older, got all the aches and pains, got the 70 doctor's visits a week, for one thing or another, I got a little balance problem, so they got to test the ears, and then I got some neuropathy, so they got to test the feet, and then,
geez.
But not like Will. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
I hate to complain, not like Will.
Well, yesterday was quite the adventure.
By the way, let me just say, Debbie is related to Will Durst.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're his sister.
He's my half of everything.
You're half of everything. Very nice. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Isn't that sweet? Half of everything.
That's an awe moment.
Yeah, I keep saying it's half of everything, mister.
Yeah.
And then he says, not one damn dime. So,
but anyway, and Will had a stroke about a year ago. Wow, a year ago.
Yeah, about a year and almost 13 months. Almost 13 months.
Yeah, well, and I finally got to talk to him the other day.
Yay! He said he got to talk to you. He was really, really happy.
Something I plan to do on a regular basis because, I had a lot of trepidation about talking to him because I didn't know what to expect,
Yeah.
And what I got wasn't what I expected. I got a person whose mind is sharp as a tack, who, speaks fine. His timing is there.
Yep.
All the things that make a comedian a comedian. I was amazed. I did not expect what I found. I thought I'd find somebody just a little bit more, he's been lying in bed for a year, for crying out loud.
Right.
That's longer than I do at any given time.
Yes. Well, it's he's so totally there. His mind is there, and his mind has always been there. It was a little hard to communicate sometimes during the early days in the ICU.
Right.
And there was a bit of confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the second stint in ICU, there
were many stints in ICU.
Yes.
And many stints in him. I don't know.
For a while, he was looking like an extra off the set of Dune. He had so many wires and things coming out of his head and his nose and his good Lord Almighty.
Wow.
But yeah, there was about 2 weeks when he was in the ICU where he thought he was in Chicago. They have those cognitive things that come and ask you every day, all day. Who are you? When's your birthday? What city are we in? And for about 2 weeks, he would keep saying Chicago.
Why that?
I don't, maybe, well, he is originally he's a Milwaukee native.
Oh, okay. All right.
And Chicago is the next big city, and he spent a lot of time there. So I'm figuring, all right, he's kind of back home, and he'll work his way to the West Coast sooner or later.
Yeah, sooner or later.
Yeah. But it all came back. Just a little what they call the brain fog thing.
Yeah, but I mean, if that's the least of it, come on, he had a stroke.
Yeah. We'll be with doctors or strangers or in rehab or something, and then I'll say, well, the stroke, and he'll say, I had a stroke.
The sad thing about it is, Debbie, the thing that bothered me most of all is that he's got it. He's still got it. Okay. When I say got it, folks, I mean he's a comedian. He's got the timing. He can speak fine. He's got the chops. all of that. Almost this person who wishes he had a stage to do something on.
Oh yeah, it's driving him nuts right now.
And then the fact that there are certain parts of his body that aren't working, that then becomes the problem.
Yes, and it's horrible when your body won't do what you want it to do. But he calls it, the brain is his tower, and the tower keeps sending signals to the left side of his body.
Yeah,
and the arm, he said, the arm is ready to join the party.
Yeah.
So he's got really good movement of his fingers.
Good.
And his exercise for this week from the occupational therapist was to pretend he's reaching for a piece of candy and bring it to his mouth.
Yeah.
And he's doing pretty well with that.
Yeah.
Doing pretty well. So the arm is doing pretty good. And it's all about the shoulder, mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you sit and you do nothing, your shoulder muscles kind of, they call it a shoulder drop.
Yeah. So then you got the leg. You got the leg is the other problem.
Then you've got the leg, which is more of a problem.
But he says he says they put him in a walker, and that he can.
No. Yes. No.
Yes. No. Okay.
Yeah. See it, and that's partially my fault because I had the walker left over from my hip replacement surgery. And I'm thinking, oh, great,
God, do you realize what we're talking about here? Strokes, hip replacement, neuropathy, loss of balance.
Yeah.
God.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Old People Talk.
Well, no, I actually, my wife and I wanted to start a podcast called Nobody Wants to Listen to Old People. Because it's like you just disappear,
Right.
Like nobody pays attention to you. You're old.
No, you're old.
Right.
You walk in. I walk into the local Starbucks. The kid goes hi, and all of a sudden it's like, well, guess what happened to me today? And there's an entire. It's like they just want to take your order. They don't want to know.
They don't want to know. They're just that old lady who comes in with the funny hair.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, but the leg is coming along though. Yeah. Yesterday we spent about an hour or so at the orthotics department at UCSF, and he's got 2 ankle braces now.
Oh, okay.
That are they call them AFOs, the ankle foot orthotics.
Oh, okay.
Is what AFO stands for, and it's a thing to keep his ankle straight because the ankle starts to turn.
Yeah.
And then as we're starting to make him stand more and more in physical therapy, it helps to have your foot flat on the ground.
Yeah.
So he's learning to put weight on his leg. I don't know if I mentioned the last time we spoke that they had him in a harness to hold most of his weight while he's trying to stand.
I see.
We're off the harness now.
Oh, really? Oh,
harness
good.
is history. Yeah. So the harness is history, and he's got a knee brace as well, one of those little ones that you can crank up on the side to say how.
Yeah, my wife had one of those when her knee got broken. And it has
so there's more and more practice, and he does practice putting his weight onto the walker, but he's not at the walking stage yet.
Yeah.
But he has graduated. He's actually working his core muscles and standing from a sitting position.
Yeah.
So he's working on standing up.
Well,
awesome.
Yeah. I mean, look, the way I look at it, from what I saw, and what I heard, we could probably put him in a wheelchair and set him on stage.
Oh, sure.
And he'd be fine. He'd be able to get everything across to the audience and everything. But I don't think I think there's a certain pride. He doesn't want to do that, does he?
No, he doesn't want to be seen like this quite yet. And I don't blame him because his hair is crazy, wild, long all over the place.
Oh, I saw it.
Yeah. And he had this thing before the stroke where he was not going to cut his hair until there was a new president. Mm-hmm. So, everyone is kind of hoping that there is a new president and then we can actually cut his hair and he'll look like a normal human being again. But he's not ready to go on stage.
Yeah.
Because we were talking the other day that this would be the time when he would be doing his one-person show.
Yeah.
Every week. And he said, and I've got all kinds of, but the material is all up here and there's nothing on paper and it's not, there's no form to it.
The thing is that I told him, I said, look, you can, it's a terrible time for you to have a stroke because this election is just full of material. Okay. But the other part of it is, except for the writing, excluding the writing, just talking about on stage, they said you wouldn't be working anyway.
Yeah.
So you actually picked the perfect time to have a stroke.
Yes. The timing is just about perfect.
By the time he's walking, Corona will be beaten. Okay, so
yes, and stages will be open again.
Exactly. Yeah. So
we'll have to figure out a big boffo premiere, back to the stage for Mr. Will Durst's show.
Now he absolutely adores you, as you know.
Well, I pay him enough.
And he said to me the other day, without even breathing heavy, he said, "Oh, she's the funny one in the family."
Oh, he says that all the time. It takes the pressure off of him, you see.
Well, you are funny. You're just funny as a person. You exude a certain funniness.
Yeah, I can't turn it off. I
mean, you know it. You're kind of goofy looking, but that's why we go into comedy, because we're goofy looking.
Because we're goofy looking. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're really handsome, you have a really hard time doing comedy.
Yes. Yeah, they're really handsome comedians, and nobody takes them seriously.
Yeah.
Because they're too good to look at. It's like, what are you doing here? Why aren't you on television? Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, you have been over the years one of the funniest people around, and he just says he says she's funnier than I am.
Yeah. Well, we kind of help each other with the funny.
Yeah.
Because as an improviser, there are things that I can say that just won't fit in anything that I would ever do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
okay.
Like,
so
this is a really funny line. You take it.
So you're both comedians. So are you constantly trying to make each other laugh?
Well, not constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things that we see that and observe that are just hysterically funny.
Mm-hmm.
And all we have to do is look at each other and go, did you see that? Did you get that? Especially now when I, he gets out and we go to physical therapy and there are all these people out and people are strange, to begin with. A, B, there's a certain amount of people that you can have in the lobby of the therapist's office.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a little sign saying you can only. And then one day he said, "Do I count as one person or half a person? Because this part of the body doesn't work." and there's a woman sitting across from him, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't know if he was being serious or funny And then we had a little incident yesterday.
Oh, really? Oh,
yes. We went back to the UCSF so they could tweak the AFOs.
Mm-hmm.
They're brand new. It's like a brand new pair of shoes. You got to wear them in.
Mm-hmm.
But with these, you can't really wear them in because he's not standing. So there's a certain amount of shaving and drilling and stuff to make it more comfortable so it doesn't squish your foot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a slider. He's a slider. Slidey McSliderson. And
what do you mean he's a slider?
To fix him in the wheelchair so he wouldn't slide out.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We're in we get out of the elevator, and I look at him, and all of a sudden he's like this. And I'm like, "You're falling." He turns his head to look at me, and as he does that, boom, he slid right off of the wheelchair onto the ground. And then I'm thinking, great, this is going to be a very funny little film someday. And I'm alone. We're in the basement of the UCSF thing where not a lot of people go. And there's his foot with the brace on still in the doorway of the elevator. And I'm thinking, all right, the door's going to shut on his foot. Now we're going to have another set of problems. So I started yelling, "Help, help." and luckily the person we were going to see, her office is right on the other side. And she came out and went, "Oh my goodness, what happened there?" And immediately, without missing a beat, Will goes, "She pushed me." And that was his line. Everybody we saw for the rest of the day, "She pushed me."
Yeah.
And so we got him back into the wheelchair.
Don't those things come with seat belts?
No, they don't. And there's a thing about that. You can get straps to we have found a strap to buckle him in.
Mm-hmm.
But and this has been a problem because he's a slider from way back.
He's a slider.
And he slides right out. And supposedly you're not supposed to buckle people in because it restrains their movement or their freedom if they want to get up out of the wheelchair and do a runner. They can't. I don't know how
yeah.
that
Well, I
works.
mean, you're in a wheelchair to begin with because you can't get up and run away.
Exactly.
So it would
So I
seem
don't see.
logical that if some people do slide, I'm sure he's not the only slider in the world.
Oh, heck no.
Okay. Well, but,
No.
you know,
So
yeah,
anyway, we have a brand new little one of those Webby belts that I can secure him
yeah,
now
yeah.
to feel better. Months later, we are in the.
Is there an airbag in front of him? Just
There should be.
I know, folks, we're laughing about a guy with a stroke, but so is he. So,
Yeah. Yeah, he laughs about it every day, every day. So, and that is helping a lot too to maintain his sense of humor.
yeah. Well, I
So,
told him that I understood somewhat about his leg and the fact that it's there and he can't make it move. Okay.
right.
Because when I went in for my prostate seed implantation, they did a spinal on me rather than put me out because they said, because of my age, they'd rather do a spinal. So they did a spinal, and that kills everything from the waist down. Not that I've needed it in years, but from the waist down, gone, right? And I
Yeah.
suddenly, I have a friend who's a paraplegic, and I said, I suddenly realized what his life is like every day. It's there, but you can't move it,
Right.
you know? And that's got to be a great frustration, you know?
It's very frustrating. Very frustrating for Will. There are so many things that he wants to do, but then there's the reality of the situation. And then I keep telling him, well, look, it's going so slowly, ever so slowly. But look at where you were even 2 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
where you couldn't even
It's
move
going
your
to
arm.
appear slow at the time. It's going to be much faster when you look back at it.
Right.
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, he couldn't even move his
Listen,
arm.
as I say, I have a friend who
You know,
calls the show all the time. His name is Jeff, and I've gotten to know he and his wife pretty well. And about 10 years ago, I think he had a stroke. And to this day, he still can't read. And he has slight, you can hear it slightly when he talks, that he hasn't got all that back 100%. So the
right.
fact that Will has got as much as he's got going for him right now,
It's
the
pretty
only
dangerous.
thing you say the hand is going good. The only thing that's not working is the leg, and
Yeah.
the leg is not his comedy. Okay,
No.
he's not a physical comedian.
Well, we've seen many people do sit down comedy. And I'm sure,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, he would be great for that. But the goal now is to actually get him up and moving in a walker.
yeah.
And as soon as he can get into a walker, then we can take you anywhere, do anything.
Here's the question I suppose you ask every day, and that is, when's he coming home?
Heck if I know. Heck if I
Really,
know.
they don't know yet, huh?
No, no.
Because he's been in the hospital for a year. He told me that the hospital bill came to something like $1 million.
Oh,
Well,
it's more than that. It's more like a couple mil.
couple of
Couple.
mil. Oh,
Yeah, he was in ICU twice.
yeah.
So 3 weeks the first time and 6 weeks the second time.
It's funny. They bill you the $2 million, and then they send it to Medicare, who says it's only worth $3.50.
Yeah.
And because they're signatories to Medicare, they have to take whatever Medicare is willing to give them. So
Right.
that it doesn't really come out to $2 million. It's just so they can write off the rest of it.
Right. I would love to see that. I have a binder that is literally this thick. It's the biggest binder I could buy.
Yeah.
And all of the statements that come from Medicare and our supplemental insurance.
Hmm.
I've been, putting them all in the binder. It's like, okay, this is what it cost. This is how much we paid.
Yeah. But you know something? You shouldn't have to even have supplemental. We should just have Medicare for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Everyone.
You know.
Everyone.
I mean,
So crazy. It's insane.
nothing wrong with it. But I mean, because even though I'm sure you didn't wind up having to put out $2 million, you had to do whatever the copay was. Who knows what that is? Because Medicare doesn't take care of 100%; it only takes care of 80%. So you got to go
80%,
out and
right.
you got to buy that other 20%, and that
Right.
costs like 308. This year it was $308 a month per person.
I'm not quite sure because ours was billed quarterly.
Yeah.
So it seemed like a lot to pay for two
Yeah.
people, but then you look at the bill and you go, all right, 20% of this is still insane.
Well, no, I absolutely, but still, I mean, come on, people are seniors like myself. They don't want to have to go for $308 a month for their supplemental because you don't want the Advantage, because the Advantage just doesn't cut it. And then you got to have prescription coverage too,
Right.
So I mean,
your Part D.
yeah, so that's why we need a whole revamp of that, and why America can never. Every other country can get behind it. Every industrialized nation. Do you know the only two nations that don't have health coverage for their population?
Besides us.
Besides us, there's one other industrialized nation. I'm sure you know.
So
This
we're
is
not
going to
talking
amaze you.
about
This is going to amaze you. China.
China.
You would think they're communists, right?
Right? You would think.
But
no.
Wow. They're working on it. They're working on it. At least they're working on it, folks.
At least they're working on it. We're not doing anything.
Yeah, we're not doing nothing. But, I mean, thank God you guys were insured,
That's all I can think of is like I would get all of these, they're not invoices, statements saying this is how much this cost.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, my God, what about people who don't have insurance?
I love it though when you get
aren't old enough to be in Medicare.
Well, I love it when you get that thing that says at the bottom, it says the amount you might owe your doctor.
Yeah, the amount you may be billed.
The amount you may be billed. Yeah. But you didn't have the SAG-AFTRA insurance, did you?
The supplemental, yes.
The supplemental, but you didn't have the senior, or did you have the senior?
Yeah, we had the senior thing.
Well, they've done away with that.
Yes, they have, and now I've got to go shopping.
I know, and we've been doing exactly the same thing, and I am mad because it's going to jump my cost up. I think it was about $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
For two people. For two people, and that included great dental, $2,500 dental and everything. They just, goodbye. We don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
We can't afford it any longer. Well, yes, you can. I mean, the one thing about SAG that was always considered a great union was their medical plan.
Right.
And now that's gone. That's gone. And
gone.
with it, you have actors like Norman Lloyd. You know who Norman Lloyd is?
No.
He was the guy in Saboteur. Alfred Hitchcock's Saboteur falls off the Statue of Liberty. Yeah, that was Norman Lloyd. Well, Norman Lloyd's still alive, and he's 105 years old. He's the oldest living actor in SAG. All right? He's not going to have health insurance.
Jeez, Pete.
He's got to go out and do the shopping just like you and I are doing now.
Yeah.
Because that plan we were in was a terrific plan. I mean,
it was a fabulous plan.
Yeah.
And now, did you make an appointment to talk to someone on the phone, or are you going to do it online?
No, we have somebody privately that we're going to get us he's an insurance salesman and deals with stuff for seniors.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't, the only thing you get by going they send you over this thing called Via Benefits. And the only thing that happens there is they can access what's called a health retirement account that you have supposedly at SAG and AFTRA. And the health retirement account, I asked them, well, how much would I get a month? And they said, oh, you'd get $9.95 a month towards your health insurance.
Really? And because ours is more.
The HRA?
They told me it would be at least $95.
Did you have that much in SAG at this point?
Well, Will has got tons of AFTRA.
Yeah.
And then I did one film. I did The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
So I have no idea, really.
Wow. Well, because I asked them, they said $9.95 when I called the union, and I said, "What's the most you can get?" And they said $99.95. I mean, if it were $99.95, I'd think about going with that. Although it's not a lot of money, it still pays for some of
It's
it.
still something, yeah.
But they told me it was $9.95. So,
Oh, that's just crazy.
I don't care. I just want the insurance, and I don't like this company they pawned us off on because they're nothing but a bunch of insurance salesmen.
Right.
So, it's a pain in the ass. Yeah, and
what a racket.
Something we got to deal with.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. It beats the alternative.
How you feeling otherwise?
I'm good. I'm good. Despite having to come home and have multiple shots of sake last night after, oh my God, he's on the floor. What do I do if nobody comes by?
Yeah.
Because there's no way I could pick him up by myself.
Do you see him every day?
No. I've been seeing him on average 3 to 4 days a week. Get his all of his rehab appointments in.
Yeah.
And then if there's nothing going on one day of the week, I'll go down and just stand outside his window and talk to him.
Oh, okay. It's like a drive-through.
Yeah, like a drive-through. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, listen, we've run out of time here, Debbie. God, this is so nice talking to you. I love talking to you. You're just fun.
Oh,
You're just fun.
It's a pleasure to talk to you, Alex. I miss you.
Yeah, and we both talk about somebody we love a lot, which is Will.
Yeah.
And it's just
taboo.
so, I'm going to call him again, I think, next week.
That would be great.
And
if you
I want to make it a weekly deal because what's he got to do?
Nothing really, except blast that super cool TV I got him in his room.
Oh, really?
Full blast. Because he'll FaceTime me and the television is on. Of course, it's the news.
Yeah.
And it's like, honey, I don't want to yell above the television. If you could just reach over for the remote and turn it down.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's Debbie Durst, ladies and gentlemen. Will Durst's better half.
Yeah, I did want to mention that the GoFundMe is still up.
Okay, so you go to GoFundMe and you just put in Will Durst, right?
Yes, go to GoFundMe, put in Will Durst. I'm going to have to put a stair lift in the house and ADA the bathroom and all kinds of fun stuff, just so it's nice and comfy when he gets back.
Well, everybody, just whatever you can, and a lot of people have responded to them.
Tons of people have responded, and I am so verklempt at all of the goodness and the love that is out there for Mr. Durst.
Well, we do love you. That's Debbie Durst, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk again in a couple of weeks, okay?
Yes, please.
I love doing this. I love doing this. Okay, sweetheart. Talk to you later.
Now in our 6th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, okay, there we go. Debbie Durst, and I'm trying to get all the audio just right and everything. And we're going to check in with her every now and then. I love talking to her. She's just fun. She's fun. And if you can, go on to where is it? GoFundMe, and put in Will Durst, the name Will Durst, and you can donate a couple of bucks, $5, $10, whatever. It all helps to make their lives a lot easier. And they are two people that have just been so much a part of San Francisco comedy that they really deserve your help. Okay, all right, okay. Anyway. Let me see here. Let me see here. We're going to go to the. We're going to start taking the calls. Let me admit him, and we're letting some people come on here. We're waiting for them to join us. Waiting for Charlie Wallace to click. Okay, there we go. Let me see here. Go to gallery view, and let's see here. Charlie's picture isn't coming up. I wonder why. Oh, there we go. There's Charlie. Okay, there's so far. That's our Zoom panel. Hello, guys. How are you this evening?
Hey. Oh, it's very nice to hear what you said.
Yeah. But that's Jeff, and that's Charlie. And 1 week to go. 1 week to go.
Yes.
Yep.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
I'm just
Well,
destroyed.
I'm hoping. Hello, Robert. How you doing? Robert, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
Okay, good. Yeah, we got a week to go. I already went out and voted. Did a little early voting. We did it on Sunday. I have a video I'm going to run, but I'm probably going to like run it on Thursday because I've got so much other stuff I had to run first. And it's just short. It's like 9 minutes. Of us in line, took us an hour. The line was that long. But there was something nice about it because everybody kind of had a really nice feeling, and there was a nice kind of camaraderie between all the people there. And then the election board they were passing out water to people who needed it in line, and some people came by for some restaurant with sandwiches, free sandwiches for people. And it was and after it was all over, Marjorie said, you'll see it on the tape, she just said, boy, I'm telling you, she said, I really just feel good about that. You know, I feel good that we did it. And I felt good that we did it too. So, you know, it's good. That's good. But how about you people? How are you feeling about it? How do you feel it's going?
I think
he's going to win.
It's going to be a landslide.
Do you think it's going to be a landslide?
Yeah.
I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be fine. You know, I don't think that I don't want to say this because you don't want to. There's an old Jewish term called Kanahura. You don't want to Kanahura it, which is like, you know, speaking about something and then it doesn't happen because you're so, you know. But I mean, it doesn't make much sense that it wouldn't work out, you know. So I don't know. It's just all the indicators are there. I mean, this massive early voting. And by the way, what's great about the early voting is I think it's people who don't want to mail in their votes. I don't think the mail-in's going to amount to much.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I mean, we had the opportunity to mail ours in. We even had the opportunity to walk ours over to the voting place, not wait in line, and put it in a box, which I noticed was a garbage can. But that's, you know. But Marjorie didn't want to do that. She says, I want to vote. You know, I said, fine, let's go vote. So we went and we voted, and there was a little less of a line the Sunday we went than the Saturday, but supposedly in New York City, over 200,000 people voted in New York City on Saturday and Sunday. And I think by the time we're through, probably 1 million people will vote in New York City. That's pretty damn good, you know. Have you, any of you, you've done, you did it early, right, Charlie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how about you?
Same thing.
Jeffrey?
We're very early.
Yeah. How about you, Jeffrey? Have you done it yet? You can do it in New Jersey, right?
I voted, we voted by dropping our ballots in the box, but in Jersey, you're able to go online to see that they are in receipt of your vote. Like you can track your vote, like you would track a package on UPS. And so our votes are tabulated.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
It's
it's very convenient. You sign up to a website. You use your voter ID number, which came on your ballot, as a means of, you know, signing on to this site.
Yeah.
And we dropped our votes off on a Monday, and I think they were listed on the website about 5 business days later.
Really? Okay, so that's terrific. That's terrific. You know, I mean, we should all know that our vote has been counted. You know, somebody was saying, Marjorie was saying it too, that the reason why we're voting. See, in New York, I mean, come on, do I really need to vote? Come on, I'm only going to add to the tally for the Democrats, which New York always goes Democratic. So, and that all gets boiled down into what, 78 electoral votes or whatever. But I think this year I really wanted to go there because I wanted just my one vote to be registered So when it's finally, they say, well, New York, so many votes, the country, so many votes for Biden, it's a big fuck you to Trump, you know. So your one vote kind of is a protest to him.
Yep.
You know?
In Connecticut, they have the same thing where you can ask if they will send you a document that did they actually get our information?
Yeah, yeah.
And they did.
Right.
Of course, they didn't say who I voted for or who I didn't vote for. But I remember.
In Texas, it depends on the county.
Yeah.
County by county, some counties you can track your vote, and Austin's one of them. So,
well, there are two things. You've got you've got an incredible amount of people voting early in Texas. Am I correct about that? I saw a huge number, and I also saw a huge number where coronavirus cases are concerned.
Yeah.
You're now
by the way, we're gonna catch California this weekend, and Texas will be number one in coronavirus infections.
Congratulations.
And is anybody yelling about the governor? There.
Nope.
He's done.
He's not on the ballot.
He's done nothing. Do you think he'll get elected to another term after doing this?
Well, the problem is we still got 2 years before he has to be elected again. People will forget.
Well, they might not forget, because you got to remember that with people dying of COVID or even getting COVID, everybody knows somebody who has COVID, you know, or got COVID, and or somebody who died of it. And that all comes home to roost for all the Republican candidates now out there. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, you know. I just think that you know, I don't want to jinx the whole thing, but I just don't see where Trump's going to pull this one out, you know. I mean, the last time he won because some people went, well, what have you got to lose? Well, they found out.
Yep.
You know? And also, he was an outsider. And that kind of, some people had a romantic notion about the outsider becoming president. I don't know why you consider a guy who claims to be a billionaire and is a television personality an outsider, but they did. He's not an outsider anymore. He doesn't have that appeal anymore. Plus, you know, it's kind of like you go to see a comedian, and the next time you go to see the comedian, he does the same act, but you don't mind it because you want to hear all the hits, right? You know, all the jokes you loved. If you go a third time and he still does the same act, you're a little tired of it. Well, listen to him on the stump right now. He's doing the same act he did 4 years ago. There's nothing new. He's replaced with lock her up with lock him up. And even has lock her up back again because he's got the Michigan governor.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, there's nothing new. There's nothing original. And he's, you know, we're all bored with him. And he's just not bringing anything new to the table. Yes, Jeff.
I still think there's a lot of people who just don't want to vote for a Democrat.
Well, you know.
And they will vote as if the Republican was a duck, they would.
Yeah, well, there are Democrats who wouldn't vote for a Republican ever, too. You know, and there have been some decent Republicans, you know. I mean, I often said that if McCain ever ran, I would have a little bit of a problem because I kind of like McCain because he was a liberal Republican. But then he ran and he did such a bad job of it. And then the Sarah Palin deal. And I said, well, that's it. You know, I can't. In fact, I felt kind of bad for him because he had spent a whole life of dignity and had to have it compromised because he ran for president, you know.
His biggest problem was that lady who from Texas, from Arizona.
No, you mean Alaska.
Alaska.
Sarah Palin. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Palin. The whole Palin factor kind of ruined him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. There are people who just won't vote Democratic. But you know something, if you're a Republican, let me make an appeal to you, okay? He has ruined your brand, okay? If you don't get him out now, if he were to last another 4 years, he would completely ruin the Republican Party. There will be no Republican Party. They'll have to change their name and move to another country. I mean, it's not any good. Boy, my eyes are burning tonight. I went to the doctor today. I went to the balance doctor. Anybody here ever have one of these balance tests?
No.
Oh, is that fun? Well, it wasn't that it was horrible, but it just goes on forever, First they check your vision, first they do sounds in your ear. They're doing some kind of sonar in your ear. I don't know what it was. That went on for 20 minutes, and then the rest of it was a combination of getting me to look at dots on a screen. And then after that was over, they blew cold air into my ears for a minute.
Wow.
And then had me rest, and then had my eyes look at dots and stuff like that. And then they put hot air in my ear. And after it was all over, he said, I don't think you got a balancing problem. He said, if you've got a problem, it's coming from somewhere else. He says, it's not your neuropathy because your feet aren't acting like that. He says, I don't know what it is. It could just be that you've got a little something going on there. He said, but it isn't an inner ear problem, and it isn't problems with your eyes. So I don't know what it is. And then I told him I was tired all the time, and I mentioned, I think I've got COVID fatigue. He said, that's going around. He said, you just feel exhausted all the time. He says, I feel it, it's kind of interesting, the whole process they went through with me. And then you're dizzy like crazy afterwards. You got to kind of rest for about 5 minutes in his office before you can get up and leave. So if you ever have a chance to have one of those tests, good luck. It doesn't hurt. Nothing like that. It's just kind of annoying, kind of annoying. It's like, what was it when I got the prostate cancer? When they discovered the prostate cancer, they said, well, you got to have this and you got to have that. And I said, is this going to kill me? And my doctor said to me, no, but it's going to be mildly annoying. And it turned out it was mildly annoying, so.
Much like Mike Pence.
Much like Mike Pence, exactly. Did you see who was out on the stump today? Did you see what's her name? Malaria.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, does she
For
read
a second, but yes.
She reads a teleprompter as badly as Donald Trump, but with an accent.
Yeah, I couldn't understand her.
Well, no, what it reminded me is when he was making the movie Dracula, Bela Lugosi couldn't speak a word of English, and so they had all the lines written phonetically on cue cards, and then he would just read them, and it was "Good evening, I am Count Dracula," and that's about what she was doing today. She sounded like Bela Lugosi, because she's reading the damn teleprompter. And did you see Obama? Oh,
he was great.
He just Marjorie said, I think the reason he's going out there is he's the guy that's got to be the bad cop. Okay,
Yeah.
He's the one who's got to go out and say, Trump's a jerk. Trump does this. Trump does that. Trump is blah, blah, blah. He's a guy. I mean, his best line was he hates coronavirus because it's getting more press than he is.
Yes, I love that.
And he's very funny. But he could get away with it because, number one, he's been so assailed and besmirched by Trump
That's right.
that he could say anything about Trump and everybody would say, okay, well, we understand why.
That's right.
Okay.
And it gets under Trump's skin too.
Yeah, it does get under Trump's skin.
You know, that's bugging him. I would have Obama out every day.
Yeah, well, I think they waited for the last sprint to bring him in, you know, because he was the guy I think they sent around to areas, especially with black voters, to kind of seal the deal, you know. And then, of course, then you got Biden, and he gives a speech, and he says things about Biden, about Trump, but he doesn't get nasty about it, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, I was thinking about it today. I was walking into the house today, and I went, I haven't seen anything like this anywhere. The most obvious bumper sticker you could create. And I haven't seen it. I don't know about you guys. Have you seen any bumper stickers that read "Dump Trump"?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, actually. Not a bumper sticker, like a lawn sign.
Okay, "Dump Trump"?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I just thought it's so obvious.
Yeah, sure.
You know, why people haven't done it is beyond me, but I haven't seen it around. So good.
They've had the Biden, you know, Biden.
Yeah.
I said Biden. It says Biden.
By
Yeah.
Don.
Yeah, Biden. Biden.
Did anybody catch the tweet storm between the president and Sacha Baron Cohen today?
Oh,
No.
Right.
At some point, Trump called him a creep. And Sasha tweeted back, I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect of, I've been looking for a racist buffoon to use in one of my movies. And from what I hear, you'll need a job comes January 20th.
Oh, beauty. I love it.
why do we talk about our president tweeting? Oh my God!
Why do we talk about a president in the way that we do? But it's only that he deserves it.
I've seen. I don't do Twitter, but I saw some stuff that was forwarded, you know, on Facebook and stuff. It was like 4 a.m, 2 a.m. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, I often wonder, does he write every one of his tweets? Or does he dictate them? Or does he like make them up? They like at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, they sit around making up about 20 of them, and then somebody at night sends them out.
I have no idea.
No.
You know, I don't know. But
Whoever does them can't spell. That must be.
What was there? Some line that Obama had about a president who, you know, sits on the couch all day and watches Fox and tweets, you know, that he does nothing else. Yes. Hello, Brian Ludwig.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to come up with a possible answer to Mr. Neary's question, why we have the president we have. The reason why we have the president we have is because, in my opinion, is because he is a manifestation, the end result of the toxic consumer culture, gotta have it now mentality that this country has been, experiencing for the last 40 some odd years.
That's part of it. The other part is we ain't the smartest country in the world.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, we would like to think, oh, how bright Americans are. No,
No, we are not.
No, we don't even.
But our youth, the TikTokers, yes, they are very smart.
Yeah.
In spite of the open
Yes.
racism, I'd say my grandparents' generation were, but
We're
That's-
smart. We're smarter.
I do. I believe it.
Let me think about that for a second. I don't know.
And where it counted, not in
they
terms
were.
of us
I'll
being an
tell you
industrial
though,
powerhouse, absolutely.
they were still.
I don't know how you make that assessment.
They were still very naive, and politicians could put one over on them. You know, I mean,
No.
I think up until this point, we've said, "Hey, he's my. Whether or not I voted for him, he's my president. We stick by him any way we can." Okay, and I think people have given up on that notion now. You know, I don't understand, even if somebody is a Republican, how they can stand by Trump. If they want to tell me, well, I'm going to vote for Trump only because he's a Republican, but quite frankly, I'm holding my nose when I do it, okay, I'll understand that. But they don't say that. They try to justify him. And that's the part that's kind of you know, and this coming out of people I would think are smart, okay, but apparently they're not. Apparently they're dumb.
Well, they do it on the left too, though not as in great numbers. I'll give you that.
The
But they do
left,
it on the left.
the left has a tendency to fall in lockstep too. You know, I will agree with you. I mean, the left has always kind of bothered me because if you don't follow the prescribed litany or liturgy, you're not a real Democrat. I mean, I used to be told when on Sirius by people who would call me up when I would like question something Obama did.
I'd say it's even worse than that. You get called sexist and misogynist.
Well, no, they forget it. Forget that. That wasn't a problem back then.
Well, I'm talking about now with
but what I'm saying is that they used to say to me, "Well, you're no liberal." I said, "No, I'm not a liberal. I'm a leftist to begin with, and I don't like being a liberal."
I remember you saying that.
Yeah. But I mean, I would get assailed by people. Oh, you shouldn't be on Sirius Left, blah, 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 blah. What do you mean I shouldn't be on Sirius Left? I'm as left as you'll find. But does that mean as part of being left, I have to agree with everything Obama does? You know?
Yep.
And I have to buy into the whole Democratic, what can we call it? I'm punchy tonight. That's because I had all the air blown in my ear. What? What?
All the Democratic, you have to buy into all the Democratic, or if you're a Republican, all the Republican talking points of all aspects of the platform, in other words.
In other words, you're not a good Democrat unless blah, 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 blah. Well, no.
Yeah.
No. I mean, whatever happened.
I'm a free-thinking American citizen, usually my response. You
know what I miss? Good old-fashioned sexist jokes. Take a guy like who was it? The guy with the violin, not Jack Benny, the other one, the bad one.
Henny Youngman.
Henny Youngman.
Henny Youngman.
What was his big catchphrase?
Take my wife,
please.
Take my wife, please. Do you think today he could get away with just that simple line, which was his catchphrase?
Yeah, sure he could.
I think he could, but it would be a smaller audience that would. That's the thing. It's become more segmented. Like I was just saying, you can find comedy like that still. It's just in smaller segments and geared to smaller audiences.
Well,
I'll drop you a name too, Doug Stanhope. He does a lot of that.
Jim Jeffries. Jesus Christ! If you listen to Jim Jeffries, if you want sexist humor, and he fills houses, so there's still an audience for it.
Nick DiPaolo.
Yeah.
Bree just wrote another power hour of pure Trump bashing. Is that what we're doing here?
How cute.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Okay, let me see here. Hey,
I thought he wasn't a Trumper, though.
See, that's what we're voting for right there.
Yes,
that's what we're voting for.
She just got home. Say hi.
Hi, Adrian. How was school?
Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. She want to say hi really quick. She just got home. So. Go.
We never mind her.
I know.
She is.
But no, I mean, the fact of the matter is that, we're not, it's not a question of bashing Trump. I wish I had something good to say about him, and okay, look, let's do this. We don't want Bree to be hurt by our show tonight. I'm going to go around the panel. Every one of you, come up with something good about Donald Trump. Okay?
I pass.
No, come on. You got to come up with something.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I pass.
I can.
Okay.
I've said it before.
And by the way, I'm sorry, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
Say, as far as his rhetoric goes, as far as Trump's rhetoric goes, we should not be competing with Beijing or any other country.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, who says we're competing with Beijing?
A lot of corporations, a lot of sports institutions like the NBA for one, Disney for another.
What do you mean competing?
We're competing for film space and regard in the context of the Disney Corporation.
we're doing business over there. but that's not competing. We're competing in the marketplace for eyes and ears and things like
They're
that.
filming a movie. There's plenty of places in the United States of America they can do it.
Yes. And what about exteriors?
Well, that's what studio design is for, isn't it?
No. Sometimes you need a good location. I mean, many times we go to Spain to film stuff, and we go other places to film stuff. Game of Thrones was done in Ireland because the backgrounds they had and the vistas they could use were appropriate to the theme.
And there's CGI too.
Well, but they, sometimes I'm sick and tired of seeing CGI. I mean, I like seeing a real background. Plus, even though you use some of those areas, there's still lots of CGI in there,
Yeah.
But I mean, they use Malta, for instance, for Game of Thrones a lot,
New Zealand, yeah.
And then they augmented it with CGI. And
But I know better to know that, as far as I say rhetoric for a reason, because I know he's in the pocket of the Chinese, more so in the Russians than more so than most other politicians.
Who's in the pocket?
It's all bluster and bullshit.
Who's in the pocket of the Chinese?
Trump.
Oh, Trump. Well, he has, no matter what he says, he still has a bank account over there. And he's done business in China. His daughter still. God, my throat today.
I saw a video of him on the Letterman show a number of years ago, where Letterman was talking to him about his clothing line or his tie line.
And he said he made it in China.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, I don't like things made in China." And he showed him a tie, and it says, "What's it say on the label? Made in China."
Yeah.
Check his hats. Check his mega hats.
The MAGA hats are made in China.
Yeah, they should.
Well, the thing is that excuse me if my throat seems to be going out, but I just, for some reason, it's dry tonight.
But Alex's hat.
Yeah. Well, this one was made in China.
Was literally made in China.
Yeah. Well,
Alex says I look like Che Guevara with what I have on. It kind of looks like a red Chinese hat or whatever the fuck.
This is a red Chinese hat.
It is.
I bought it in China.
No shit.
I bought it in China. Yeah. What is that? Oh, that's your company.
Yeah, it's coming to you. I'm not a hat guy, and my head's too big for these hats.
I would love it. I would love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you a little gift packet.
Good. But no, all I'm saying is that I don't think there's anything wrong with shooting something in China. For instance, they did a movie called The Great Wall, and it was with Matt Damon, and they did it all in China so they could use the Great Wall as a backdrop. So I don't know if that's as big a problem as.
Wasn't like some Disney executive kissing the ass of the Chinese government while at the same time the Chinese government is persecuting the Muslim citizens?
Well, you have to begin with. If we're going to go on that basis, almost every country has some kind of sin. And we sometimes maybe have to separate business from that sort of thing. I mean, yes, I know the Muslims. What are the names of those Muslims? I forget the name of them now. But they were putting them literally in concentration camps. They call them education.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, camps. Look, China has never been, to this day, a really democratic country. And the communist hierarchy is afraid of losing power, so they hold on to it by any means necessary. Yet, they are also economically one of the biggest countries in the world. And so the question then becomes, do you then not do business with them? Or do you allow them to just do business with everybody else? If we don't do business with them, India will do business with them. Any number of Germany will do business with them. Everybody does business with them. So if we don't do business with them, we're not competing in the world market.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm defending them because my wife takes a paycheck from the Chinese.
Why is it that when you work 40 hours a week in 2020, working full time, 40 hours a week, you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But, 40 hours a week, 60, 70 years ago, without a college degree, one person working, namely usually the man, could support an entire family. Why is that?
Well, it's because things have gotten more expensive. So much so that both people have to work in order to be able to get by. But when you're talking about the Chinese, let me say something. My wife works for the Chinese. She feels, and I feel watching it, that she's never been treated better by any employer in her life. Okay, all our medical is paid for. They write a check out every year for us to take top tier, best we can get. Okay, 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Does she go out there for business for like months at a time, weeks at a time? How's it work?
No, she doesn't go out there. Once a year she goes out for a company meeting, or did. They don't right now.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, she really has. They treat her great, and she's not a young chick working at the office. She's an old lady, and they don't care. The Chinese have no concept of that. Age, if you can do the job, you can do the job. And they love her, and they treat her well, and
That's a good deal.
So am I supposed to say the Chinese are horrible? No. I see how they treat their employees, and it's pretty good. So.
Yeah, we're opening up a factory there, and it'll be open 2022 January. So we already hired a director of manufacturing for that facility, and it's a woman, which is she's very intelligent, very smart, and no issue with that.
Yeah.
But so I'll be going over there quite often. So it'd be really interesting to see how that, and then India also see how different cultures.
Okay, so we got one thing out of Brian. Okay. About Trump. Come on, Brian, you got to have something good you can say about Donald Trump.
He's a monster. There's nothing good to say about him.
Yeah. One thing I've been thinking about is, I mean, this whole pandemic stuff at the beginning, when he didn't respond and he knew stuff and all that stuff. But, I'm beginning to believe now the stuff that he's not doing now when everything is going sideways again is even more hideous than the stuff that he did at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Because he's definitely going against everything, and everything is climbing. All the numbers are there, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
They've admitted that they're not going to do anything to control the virus.
They're done.
They've given up. They're just going to let Americans die.
Yeah.
Hold on a
enough
second.
resources to ram right justice down our throat.
I'm thinking here. First of all, if I had something good to say about Trump, it would be that over the last 4 years, he's given me endless material.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. He's given me endless material. And I mean, they did a thing on Saturday Night Live where a bunch of people were going, I'm voting for Biden because he blah, 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 blah. And I don't want Donald Trump. I'm voting for Biden. And they got about 4 people saying that. And all of a sudden, one of them goes, but I'm going to miss him when he's gone because I'll have nothing to talk about the next day.
Going to get dull.
It's going to get dull. And then another one's, what are we going to do? What's Rachel Maddow going to talk about?
Right.
They went on with all these things and going, gee, what are we going to do without Trump?
Get a hobby.
There's danger in that.
Yes, Charlie.
Yeah.
The worst part about Trump is that he has been fomenting violence among his followers. When he loses, I'm afraid that these militias are going to come out and start shooting people randomly.
I'm worried about exactly the same thing.
Acts of domestic terrorism.
But my question is, if let's say he wins, do you think there's going to be rioting? I think there will be some.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think no matter who wins, there is going to be. I think it's going to be. The rioting on their part is going to be more dangerous than the rioting on our part. Okay. Yes, Robert.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the comment in the chat. Wasn't that same individual on the show Friday and got all up in everybody's business, swearing that he was not a Trump fan, that he was an quote unquote open-minded individual? Well, for somebody that's not a Trump supporter, he sure kisses an awful lot of ass.
Except
You know,
That's
like
it.
every comment he makes is pro-Trump. And then he comes out with these whiny little complaints about Biden. Oh, Biden didn't say Senate, he said senator. You know, like he's definitely losing it. You know, like, come on. I would admire you more if you came out and said, I support Donald Trump. Okay, great. That's your right. But don't play it both ways and try to act like you don't support him, and yet every little thing you say is pro that guy. You know, be one or the other.
Yeah. Can I mention that the other night we were doing the show, and all of a sudden I noticed that Robert was gone. You had a problem with what was going on, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Well,
Yeah, I did.
Well, explain it to the group.
Well, it's kind of going to bash somebody, but I think I'm tired of listening to civet cat stories and growing fucking lemongrass. And there was a point at which we were getting a tour of the garden and the toads and all like this. And I thought to myself, I've got a fucking 100 books in this house I'm aching to read. There are better uses for my time. I'll just quietly slip away.
Well, I think what the problem is that this particular individual, when he comes on, I don't know if anybody knows what the word upstaging actually means.
Yes.
We always think of it as being that you're trying to be the center of attention, but in theater parlance, it means that it was always known that the person who stood upstage got the focal attention of the audience more than the person who was downstage, near the apron of the stage. But you can upstage people in any number of ways, and when you're out there working in your garden, that's upstaging everybody else who is rather static.
Well, I'll do fairness. I did a little bit of that 2.5, 3 years ago when I would drive.
Well, no, but you wanted to be part of the program, so you did it from your car, and that's understandable. But you weren't
Brian,
like
you didn't call attention to look how I'm driving. You know,
true.
On the wheel like so, and you were just in that particular location, but you were still static, and you weren't deriving, you know, some kind of attention.
I mean, Ray, for instance, would sometimes call while he was walking his dog.
Or dropping.
Okay, but he would add things now and then to what was happening, and it really was. I just feel that with that guy we're talking about, he was upstaging, you know, and taking focus. If people were watching on the screen, taking focus off of other people, even if they were talking. So. But I just wanted you to get that out because I respect you as a panelist, and I feel bad if you feel uncomfortable, okay? Because I want you here to say what you feel, you know, when you got to say it, you know. So
his comments are interesting when he sits and takes part in discussions. That's great, but. You know, like I really don't give a fuck what you're eating for lunch. You know, to be honest, I always kind of turn it around and I say to myself, what if I went out in my backyard and started pointing to the various, you know, flora and fauna? Would he sit and listen to me? And I'm willing to bet solid money that, you know, he would lose interest immediately.
Well, what if on this program I started masturbating?
Tubin.
They now have a term for that. Tubin. Doing a tubin. What?
That's the proper English.
Yes, Brian.
The former mayor of New York.
Brian.
Well, there was I don't know if I should say this, but when this person, you know, you hear go to the airport, he would like leave it on, not mute the mic, and the noise would drown out everyone else that was talking. Am I the only one that picked up on that, or have other people picked up? Am I wrong here?
Oh, we know.
Okay, because I was thinking to myself, okay, so it is true, because I was thinking to myself, unless there's like 2 or 3 or goddamn an orgy going on, and there's a bunch of people fucking in the background, and I can hear them, you know, moaning and whatnot. I don't want to hear any of that shit. Because I'm listening to, say, Rob, I'm listening to Jeff, I'm listening to Charlie
exactly
make a point. Yeah, and I want to hear only them.
And Brian, back to you driving in the car, you were keeping up with the flow of the conversation. You know what I mean? Like you weren't taking the conversation into your own personal tangent.
Right.
And that's the part I guess I object to is this is a show where we each give and take, but there's a flow and a rhythm to it. And when you suddenly put up your goddamn cell phone to show a picture of some woman in Thailand somewhere, it's just like, wait a minute, where did this come from?
Well, the only time it actually worked is when he would go through the mall, and all the gorgeous women that were in that mall. I mean, but I just feel that that only goes so far. You want to join the conversation, do what everybody else does here, sit in front of the camera, and care about joining the conversation. Yes, yes, Jeff.
When Robert left, was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. But there was somebody else who came and only stayed a few minutes and then left. And it's a guy from California who used to come all the time.
Kevin?
And he was always running and...
Kevin Stopper? The truck driver?
No. There's a guy who would go outside running and exercising and
Ray
at
Renati.
the gym. And,
Yeah. Well, I mean, but he still wanted to join in on the conversation.
yeah, but he was in, but he kind of got frustrated and left.
Well, he still calls every now and then.
No, I like him, especially in Rob Alfano. I haven't heard from him in a while.
Well, Rob doesn't want to call. He says he is fed up with not the show, but fed up with just the politics. He's
frustrated with the life.
It causes too much irritation to him. And
I like paying attention to political stuff too, but it's starting to. I mean, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
These damn grifters, especially left, right, I don't care. But I'm still a registered Democrat. I'm going to re-register as an independent soon. But I'm getting all these text messages and all these emails, and you know what? Leave me the fuck alone. I've had enough. So on that regard, as far as Mr. Alfano is concerned, I can't say I blame him there. Not one bit.
Yeah. Oh, Bree writes, "Okay, I got the message. Bye." Okay.
Give him a show.
Yeah.
Him and Phil.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out.
Let Bree and Phil have a show. Yeah.
Give him a show. Give him a slot.
Well, I also got upset with Bree the other day when he started going after me because he insinuated that about Phil and that the situation was that I scared Phil away and blah 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 blah. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Nope.
And Phil and I are still friends. I mean, we don't communicate much, but we're still friends. And I didn't like his attitude of just trying to insinuate that, that's why you lost Phil, because he couldn't stand the way, blah, blah, you, blah, blah, blah. No, that wasn't it at all. No. Wasn't
I resented that, but I also resented when he went off on his little tangent and said that, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm an open-minded individual. I don't criticize every little thing he does. And I thought, well, that's the implication that none of us here who bash Trump are open-minded individuals. I can't be both open-minded and also criticize this guy. That's just bullshit.
Yeah. Brian.
It's a dovetail with what Mr. Natal said. Apologies if I'm mispronouncing your last name, but there's a conservative who is independent, says he's independent, and based on all the times he's participated, I believe him. Of course, you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Patrick Blazik.
Oh, yeah.
I believe him. He doesn't kiss Trump's ass. Patrick
is totally creditable.
Oh yeah. Just like I'm more every day that passes, every time I watch the news on YouTube and other alternate sources, and also mainstream, I become more of an independent liberal.
Patrick started with me on Sirius XM. He used to call the show all the time, and I said to him that at that time, I said, I really like you because you're a reasonable conservative. You know.
You were doing that thing that fit with the faith healer water, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that was
I
great.
remember that.
Yeah, with
I laughed my fucking
Peter,
ass
with
off
Peter,
listening to that.
Peter Popoff. Yeah.
Yeah, Pop Off. That's a good name for him.
Yeah. So I mean, but I also, it's difficult for me here because I'm doing a show here, and there are two reasons I'm doing it. Number one, because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking with you and having a discussion. When anybody comes on that impinges on that, it suddenly makes me wish I weren't doing a show tonight. Okay? Because somebody is difficult in controlling. I describe it as you're driving down the street with a person drunk in the passenger's seat, tugging on the steering wheel.
I've been there.
Huh? You know what I mean?
Ubering, yeah.
Ubering. Is that what it's called?
God.
But you know what I'm saying? That I don't need that. I just want to have a nice conversation with you guys. And in most cases with the people we have here, it's always civil. And you add Tony to that, and you add Kevin to that, and you add Patrick to that, and we got a whole bunch of other people that call. John Larkin isn't here tonight, but when John calls, I mean, it's a nice bunch of people who all like each other, and nobody is begging for attention. Nobody is vying for attention. Everybody's joining in on a conversation. And that's all I expect. And when somebody doesn't do that, it makes it difficult for me because I've got to keep, it's my job to keep the car on the road. Okay? And so, hell, I once had a person in San Francisco I worked with who, and we finally got her straightened out, but she used to come in the morning sometimes. She got so drunk the night before she woke up and she was still drunk. Have you ever known people like that? And
they want another beer.
Yeah, and as I described it, it was like her tugging on the steering wheel for 3 or 4 hours, and it made it more difficult for me because I had to keep the ship afloat. I couldn't just let it go like that. So, all I'm saying is I want people who have respect for all of you as well. That's all.
So back to bashing Trump. Here's the news.
Okay.
John Q. Public lost his job to COVID. His wife, Mary Q. Public, is in the hospital with COVID. Yeah. Their son, Johnny Q. Public, had to quit college because there's no longer any money. Their daughter, Jane Q. Public, is now with pre-existing conditions, and her father has no health care. But Sudan and Israel are cool.
Yeah.
Is that a meme?
This is, this is his fucking strategy to win in the election. Come on. I guarantee you a week before that happened, he thought Sudan was sinus medication. I know it.
I love it.
That's what he was snorting.
I'll
back
tell
in
you something.
2016 before he debated Hillary.
I think where Trump made his biggest mistake was, if I were president
Write that
and
down
I
for
were
me.
running for re-election this year and the coronavirus hit, I would use that to just absolutely put myself on the map and endear myself to everybody by taking charge of that situation and doing something about it.
He bungled that.
He bungled it. And I think it's because he had no concept of how you handle a situation like this. And
I went on record as saying if it weren't for coronavirus and his bungling of it, that he would be giving Biden the run for his money. In fact,
absolutely.
I told people that at my workplace, pre-COVID lockdown, that when Biden looked like he was going to get the nomination, I said to him, don't be surprised if he loses.
He keeps saying how good the economy is, but all he's looking at is the stock market, which, by the way, right now is down considerably. But he made a big deal out of that and how, the economy is wonderful. Well, no, the fact is that if you had gotten this corona thing under control, the economy would be good and people would be working and the unemployment rate would be down. But because you didn't pay attention to it, the whole fucking country fell apart. Yeah, Jeffrey had his hand up first and then Robert.
No, I'm
okay, Robert.
Back to this Sudan thing. He made this big thing in the Oval Office about Sudan and Israel. They quickly, within a half hour, showed video of people in Sudan rioting in the streets, burning Israeli flags. The Sudanese don't want any kind of coalescence with Israel. The reason why Sudan agreed to try to make nice is because the Americans threw up at them, "We'll take you off the harboring terrorist list," therefore allowing trade between our two nations. But the actual Sudanese don't want anything to do with the Israelis. So this was all a sham too.
Well, I mean, he didn't do much of anything.
No.
He didn't do much of anything. Yeah, I got Israel to sign an accord with Sudan, but I don't even know what that accord is. It's an agreement, but you can agree to a lot of things that aren't binding. Or
whoopty shit.
Yeah.
In other words.
Yeah. It doesn't even open up full diplomatic ties. It's just an agreement.
I don't even think he had anything to do with it.
No, he had nothing to do with it.
No.
Rob,
Israel is.
I'm still
very
trying to
independent
think
about
of something
decisions.
positive I can say about Trump, and I have to argue back at that person who wrote that you can't say something good about somebody who you don't admire. That on no level gets your admiration. I've had a lot of people that I've disagreed with, politicians and so on, and I still had a certain level of respect for them. As even though we were enemies, as an enemy I respected. Okay.
Didn't Trump also make, though? I think this is my second thing since nobody else, but didn't he make some headway into treating parolees or better than what they've been treated like? I can't articulate it any further than that, but.
You're talking about the parole thing that he helped. There were only, I think, 32 paroles he granted. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. And there are a lot of people in prison right now who shouldn't be there. All right. So he did that. That's wonderful. It's probably something anybody should have done.
And then on the other hand, he pardons assholes like Arpaio and Dinesh D'Souza. So.
Yeah.
And also in Florida tries to go beyond the law to get felons from having the right to vote, even though that was signed into law in Florida.
Well, no, they can have the right to vote if they've paid off all their bills.
Yeah, exactly.
So Bloomberg went in there. Bloomberg went in there, and I think with something like a couple of thousand people who were.
I think it was over 30,000 people.
Was it 30,000? He paid off their bills.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was legal fees and things like that, and fines they had been given by the court and so on.
Well, DeSantis has been acting like Trump's bitch anyway. So.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Another case of another state, Charlie, where the governor has done such a terrible job with the coronavirus. People are dying like flies. I mean, I had Albert on the other day, and he's living in Florida, and
is Disney World open again, or have they stayed?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Disney's let a lot of people off.
Oh yeah, hospitality is
because hospitality, but also the films. Where are they going to play their movies?
Yeah,
Vegas.
They're renting out the AMC's renting out the movie theater for $99.
Yeah,
you can rent out the whole movie theater for $99, but they have movies like Shrek and all these old movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, listen, it's been fun. It's been fun tonight, and you helped me on a night when I was made inordinately dizzy on purpose. I was saying that to the doctor that this is the first time I've had anybody blow in my ear for years.
Yeah.
So
no dinner.
I thought about that.
It was. Oh boy.
We're coming on tomorrow night, and we're going to do this just to make
me feel. Yeah. Well, anyway, Jeff, good having you here tonight. And the same thing true with Charlie, and the same thing is true with Robert, who we think the world of, and Brian, who's wonderful, Brian Neary, and then Brian Ludwig, who we admire and respect, and wish some of the other people had called tonight, but who knows? It's Tuesday. What can I say? Anyway, the rest of you, why don't you give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye back at you, okay? And there they go. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Let me just get rid of them here so we don't have them online. Listen, Jack Bishop is next. He's here with The Intersection. He does his whole thing on Skype, and the Skype ID that you use to call him is Gabnet Live. Call him. It's a good show. It's a really good show. We'll be back again tomorrow night at, let's see here, at 8:30. It's a sports show with the franchise MC. A good little sports show. I wish he did it more often. And then that will be followed at 10:30 by me once again. Same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her. And by the way, be safe out there and wear a mask.